Hi there, it's Darren from ProBlogger here. Today I want to talk a little bit about planning for your blog. I've had a number of questions over the last week or so on Twitter from people wanting to know what process I go through in looking at the year ahead and how far in advance we plan the different things that we've got going on Digital Photography School and ProBlogger. So what I thought I'd do is just run through our recent planning day. I got my team together. We don't actually all get together that often because we all work on different aspects of ProBlogger and Digital Photography School, and it's not always relevant for the whole team to get together. But I got together with my core team. There's about 4 of us for a full day recently to do just that, and I wanted to run through, I guess, what we did over that day. And in many cases it's actually very similar to what I used to do when it was just me working on my blogs, and so it's probably quite relevant to different bloggers of different sizes. So what we did is we just hired a little boardroom in a local community centre and had whiteboards, and we started off the day really just doing some critiquing and reviewing of the year of 2012 and how the blogs had gone. I guess our conversation, we didn't formally work through any process, but we really focused in on 4 main areas when we were reviewing the site. Number 1 was content and how the content had been received. What feedback were we getting on that content? What was the general feel? We also run some surveys on our blogs from time to time, and we were able to look at the feedback we were getting with regards to content. The second area was community. Were comments up? Were we getting more comments? Were they better quality of comments? Were people joining our forum areas? What was the interaction we were getting on social media as well? Community is kind of the pulse of our sites, and we know if we've got good community, then the sites are going to grow and become more valuable to us. Also looked at some of the stats, and is readership up, is it down, are people viewing lots of pages or only a few, are we getting lots of new visitors or repeat visitors, are we getting search engine visitors, or are we getting referrals from social media? Some of that kind of stuff was, I guess, in my mind, particularly as we did our review as well. And lastly, we looked at monetization. We looked at the projects we've done in the last year in terms of ebooks and our events, and also other income streams as well. And because we're running a business and we want to be sustainable, that's certainly important for us. As we began to review and talk through these different areas, certain themes began to emerge of things that we perhaps wanted to try in the year ahead, things that we wanted to tweak or relaunch, or things that perhaps even we wanted to not do again and put aside. And without really moving into a planning mode, our conversation generally went into 2013 and beyond as we began to think about what we could do to improve, what we could do to grow what we're doing in those 4 different areas. And so we began to plan things around content, community, finding readers and growing traffic, but also monetization as well. It really moved, I guess, into a brainstorming phase as we began to think about all kinds of ideas and things that we could do in the year ahead in those different areas. As we were doing this, we began to, I guess, plug things into our calendar. There were some big things that we already had dates for, like the ProBlogger event on the Gold Coast later in the year. We were able to say, September 13, 14, that's in. We can't move that around on our calendar. I also have some travel dates. We plugged them into the calendar as well. And we also then began to look at some of the ideas that we had and see where they might fit into the year ahead. We identified a number of ebooks that we wanted to launch, particularly on Digital Photography School, some different events that we wanted to do, some other launches that we have in mind. Some of them over the next 2 or 3 months we've plugged right in. They're locked in terms of dates. And the other ones, I guess, we've kind of put in pencil. They're there in the schedule, and I think it's important for us to have them in the calendar, but we may be a little bit flexible in terms of the order that they may come out. For instance, we've got a few ebooks later in the year. We want to see how the earlier ones in the year go in terms of topics with our readers before we decide what order to do the latter ones. What I like about planning 12 months ahead is that one, we're able to set some goals, I guess, and then set steps towards those goals. So by having an ebook in our calendar in October or November, which is a long way off, and we haven't even found an author for it. But knowing it's there, we're then able to sort of create some momentum on the sites. And we're also, in the back of our minds, we find ourselves thinking about, things like authors, or things about how we might promote those books, or things about how we might prepare our audience to go on that journey of looking at that topic in an ebook. Having those things there in the calendar certainly are important for us. And we're also able to see when will be the busy times of the year, and when may be good times for holidays and taking a bit of a break as well. Or where are some gaps in the year that we could perhaps do some other types of activities, where we could do maybe some community activities, or where maybe we'll do an affiliate promotion because we've got a gap between the promotions and launches of our own ebooks and events. So that's kind of the process that we went through. By the end of the day, we came away fairly excited because we'd been dreaming and brainstorming, but also I think feeling fairly confident that we could implement what we dreamed up as well, because we'd begun to delegate responsibility and also had some steps in place for particularly the sooner events and launches that we had in mind. Now, when I was doing this by myself, I went through a very similar process. It was sitting down at a laptop computer, getting a spreadsheet out and beginning to plug in some ideas. I probably did less events and less launches in a year when it was just me, but I certainly would sit down at the start of the year and do a review of how things have been going, and then plug in 3 or 4 things. I tried to do one big thing every quarter, and always had the 3 or 4 things in mind at the start of the year, so that I could begin planning but also create momentum on the sites. I'd love to hear about your own approach to a new year of blogging. I know some of you, you don't plan at all, and it's certainly something that just happens, and others of you are probably even more advanced in terms of your planning as well. But I'd love to hear about that in the comments on this post.